The White Tiger Night channel. Beware. Crazy shit will be discussed. If you're only on here for gun views, you probably don't want to see this one. Alright everyone, I'm going to go ahead and start this video off just basically with some regrets probably and an apology because there's probably going to be a lot of negative response to this. And honestly, anybody who is a regular subscriber to my channel or watches the videos for weapons reviews and whatnot can go ahead and if you want, just don't watch this video. Honestly, because most of my videos I try to be pretty subjective, or pretty objective actually, but this video is going to be fairly subjective. It's going to be my point of view about the state of our country, the state of affairs that we're living in right now, and the problems that we face. But spoiler alert, it's going to be controversial, and most people probably won't agree with what I have to say. So that being said, anyone who just wants to be on here for weapon system reviews, I hope you stay tuned for objective reviews of weapon systems and informational videos on how you swap parts out and such and so forth. But I think I'm going to try to make my channel a little more than that. And again, most of the profits go to support the tigers and actually saving the tigers' habitat in Russia and China where it's being destroyed. Mostly, and also to the Wounded Warriors Project. So, without further ado, I guess I'll just go ahead and start. Now, let me stress, what I'm going to focus on here is just simple facts, simple controversial facts, and most people don't know about. These are facts. You can research them. I don't want to hear any nonsense about some bullshit conspiracy theories. This is the real deal. So, no nonsense, people. Just look up the facts. Don't get all pissed and angry and leave some comments. Do research for yourself and find out. So, number one. Okay, most people, I think, realize this now, but not necessarily all fully understand it, but the Federal Reserve is not part of our federal government. Now, that's probably old hat for most people, but the Federal Reserve actually is where we get, basically all of our money. And the way it works, most people think the Federal Reserve prints money. That's not necessarily what they do. What they do is they buy treasury bonds. Basically, they'll buy our debt. They buy bonds, and that in buying bonds and also selling bonds, they can control the money supply. But in buying bonds, they would actually basically, quote-unquote, issue money. Through buying bonds, government-issued bonds, that's basically how. That's basically the lifeblood of our economy and our dollar, our monetary system. So we're basically kind of held hostage to the Federal Reserve, which is a private corporation that's owned by multiple shareholders. Each of the different banks, there's different regions, and each of the different banks are owned by multiple organizations or multiple people. But for example, the New York Federal Reserve is, I'm pretty sure, 60% or at least 51% owned by Europeans and people who aren't even American citizens. So that's an important note for most people that don't realize the Federal Reserve is not part of our federal government. The Federal Reserve is a private corporation that buys bonds, basically lends us money at interest. So they buy our bonds and we have to pay them interest for the money that we lend them, just to make money ourselves. See, our Constitution states that we should print money ourselves, that we should actually create our own money. And JFK tried doing this, but you can see how that turned out for him. And basically, Abraham Lincoln actually did this at some point to a very, very small extent, but issuing the greenbacks and all that. But that basically ended once the war was over. But basically the Constitution states mainly that our government itself would have the right to actually create and print its own money, similar to how Libya used to do. Most people don't know about Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. He was trying to create a gold-backed African currency that any country that wanted to buy their oil would have to buy it with their currency, and that would not help the world trade currency as the dollar, and many people didn't want that to occur, so that's basically why he was overthrown. Now, again, that's facts. That's a little more speculative, I would say, but the Federal Reserve is not federal. That's fact. It's owned by private individuals, and Basically, it's an institution that loans us money and keeps our country in debt through basically buying our treasuries, but guess what? We have to pay them interest on that. So we're basically paying them interest on all the money that we create, and we are caught in perpetual debt. The next issue that it's extremely important, I think, for people to realize, especially people that don't necessarily understand what's going on right now, one very important issue currently is called Codex Alimentarius. Now, I'll put the spelling down here so you can search it. You could YouTube it, Google it. But if you learn about Codex and Codex Alimentarius, you'll basically be mind-struck and mind-blown with what they're planning to do with the food supply and nutrition and all of the above, basically, major land issues and nutrition issues, health issues, food issues. It's just some really crazy stuff that's going on, and you could probably find a lot of fairly factual information on Codex Alimentarius just by looking it up. But again, this is real. This is actually a law. This was actually established within our government. So, just pay attention and realize that stuff's going on here that can affect future generations in a big way. So, I mean, people that stay complacent now because they want to, keep their job or keep their little paycheck, their fancy little house and whatnot, I think are doing a major disservice to our country and our people in the future, because they're not going to have the same ability as us to stand up. I mean, eventually they probably won't even be allowed to have many of the rights that we have now. So I think a lot of people take them for granted, and a lot of people stay pretty complacent just because, if it's not affecting them right now, it doesn't matter, even though, things can come back to bite you and your kids and your kids' kids. So, I mean, I think you should really think, if you're interested at all in the future of our country or your children, I think that you should really start to research some of the issues, at least the issues concerning the direct health of your children. I mean, Codex Alimentarius basically threatens the lives of many people in many ways through basically food war, for lack of a better word. But again, anybody that doesn't know, just research Codex Alimentarius and you'll probably be mind blown, and you'll be able to see some of the stuff that I'm talking about, and really start to ask questions and hopefully make some kind of a movement to repeal and definitely stop Codex from continuing. The next important issue, I think, currently is the Patriot Act, which is, again, old hat. Patriot Act 1, Patriot Act 2, huge problems, civil liberties in our country, basically a treasonous document that should have never even been possible if everybody wasn't sucking the tit of the devil, basically. But for lack of a better word, I guess, I think the Patriot Act is really problematic for a number of ways, and anybody that doesn't really realize what's really behind the Patriot Act 2, just go ahead, and I would recommend doing a lot of research on that. The Defense Authorization Act, which is more recent, is even worse in my opinion, because now they basically created a legal precedent for indefinite detention of citizens of the United States. So they can actually take you in the night and bring you to Guantanamo, and you don't have a trial. You don't have to have a trial. And they do this claiming that you're an enemy of the state. Me making this video right now will probably make me an enemy of the state. So this probably gives them justification to come in my house at night and take me to Guantanamo. I'm not saying they're going to do that. I don't really think they are going to do that. I mean, I think they got a lot of better things to do. But just the fact that there's legal precedent that you can be held without legal representation, without a fair trial. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? Just because you're a terrorist, now you go to Guantanamo for life, or some other crazy place they can strap your balls to electrodes. I mean, this is not what our country stands for, and it's a perversion. And I think it's got to stop. So the Defense Authorization Act, the Patriot Act 1, Patriot Act 2, all of these issues just need to be basically destroyed. And, it's our right and our liability and our actual prerogative and basically our responsibility as citizens, especially any armed citizens or any people who can stand up for themselves and create some kind of force for good in this country. It's our responsibility to change this, and it's our constitutional right to overthrow tyrannical governments. So, first of all, I'm not sitting here saying, we should get the guns and go on the streets. I have a lot of family in the military. Most of my family is military. I don't have anything against the people in the military. I think they're great. I think they serve their country well. I just think they're misled, and a lot of people are pretty complacent because they want to keep them bars and stripes, and they don't want to fight for what they signed up for, which is the Constitution. You didn't sign an oath to protect and defend Barack Obama. You didn't sign an oath to protect and defend George Bush. You didn't sign an oath to protect and defend some douchebag in the presidency. You signed an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And I bet you most of the people that signed that oath have never even read the Constitution of the United States of America. So that's a real problem right there. And people in the military especially need to stand up, need to talk back, need to stop being such a pussy bitch, and make moves and make changes in our government that helps us for the positive and the better, because you have the power, people, and you got to take the power back. And basically, the military, I think, is a great way where people will, with open minds, will have the ability to make change and not follow orders that are illegal. So if they try to start using troops on the street, for example, in violation of Posse Comitatus, they can legally do that now under the Defense Authorization Act. But still, under the Constitution, just because some douchebag says he can do it doesn't mean it's right. And I think most people should realize that. So hopefully the military will fight back. And I think there's a lot of people within the military that are fighting back. So, hopefully you guys will realize, and in the end, you'll side with the good guys. So that's the Defense Authorization Act, the Patriot Act. And watch out, because they could be coming for you. And the people that are coming for us should realize that they should be coming for the people who are pulling the strings, not the people who are just living their lives. So that's an important note. Again, I'm not advocating anybody get their guns and go on the street. I don't want anybody to actually have any kind of violence against the government. I'm just saying that in the Constitution is our responsibility as an informed public to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, not some fascist dictator that took over it. I actually had to cut this video into 2 videos because it was a little long, so I'll go ahead and post the solutions video next. So I think the limit is 15 minutes. If anyone knows how to upload videos longer, then let me know. I appreciate it. Alright, peace out. Do it for the sons and daughters of your sons and daughters now.